Welcome back to Formula for Average. Today we had qualifying session for Japanese Grand Prix, the track that every driver loves. So let's discuss what happened and what are the results. Without further ado, let's see the results. And I guess it's not a surprise, but hats off to Antonelli for pulling off the second P1 in qualifying in a row. So he was number one in qualifying in China and now also in Japan. And I think here the big talking point is not Antonelli, because he did good, and hats off to him. And that's great to see that the young driver is capable of doing this. Of course, yes, I know he has the car, but still he's able to do it, and he's able to outperform George Russell. And I think here the big talking point is George Russell, because he cannot or could not put together a, let's say, decent or good enough laps to surpass Antonelli. He was complaining about different things. He was complaining that the car is, let's say, loose, the end is loose, and then they tried to, let's say, adjust the front wing, and that gave them more understeer. So basically, Russell's side of the garage did not manage to regulate the car as Russell needed it, and that's why P2. So no big surprises. Mercedes is still 1-2, but the I can't say it's a sensation or anything, but it's interesting to see that Russell is P2 and Antonelli is P1. So we'll see how this will happen and what will happen tomorrow in the race. But so far, it's looking good for the youngster. Let's put it that way. Then I must say, big step up for McLaren. I don't know if this is track specific or anything. We will see in the long run, of course. But McLaren, they looked competitive, and as we see, 3.5 tenths from Antonelli. In number 3 is Oscar Piastri. So in that sense, very good. He outperformed his teammate Lando Norris, and yeah, if they manage to get the car on the grid tomorrow, then they have a good chance at least for a podium. I'm not sure that they would be able to fight with Mercedes in the race stint, but at least for the podium, I think they are there. However, Ferrari, we know that Ferrari have a great start. They are very rapid from the start, and Leclerc P4 respectively between both McLaren drivers, and then Hamilton in P6. Relatively big margins again, 6 tenths as we see for Leclerc, and 7 or almost 8 tenths to P1 for Hamilton. We have seen this already before in the previous tracks. I understand that Ferrari did not bring any big updates here. Also, their McLaren rear wing is not here. So they are not doing any upgrades, and you can see from the lap times that also in the qualifying they are behind Mercedes and quite much. We'll see how it is in the race stint. They've been better, and especially, as I said, very rapid from the start. We'll see what Hamilton and Leclerc can do tomorrow at the start. But yeah, P4, P6, Hamilton was quite happy with his result, or with his lap. I mean, I don't know why. He usually is not happy to be P6, but today he was quite okay. And then the last 4 places in the top 10 were respectively for Gasly, Hadjar, Bortoleto, and Lindblad. And I must say, all of these 4 drivers, I have to say they did a very good job. They did great, in my opinion. Of course, especially if you look at the Red Bull family, let's say, Hadjar and Lindblad, respectively P8 and P10, outperformed Max Verstappen, who is only P11 and did not get into Q3. Now, Verstappen was complaining about that the car is undrivable. Think whatever you want about it, but he's not happy with the car all this season, and today he was not happy either. He said that the car became worse from FP3. So yeah, a big disappointment for him. We'll see what he can do tomorrow in the race, but at the moment, Hajar and Lindblad from Red Bull family has outperformed him, and also good success I think for Bortoleto, getting into Q3 sorry, in P9 respectively. Of course, the margins are pretty great. If we look at the it's 1.5 seconds, almost 1.5 seconds, so it's quite a huge difference, but still it's P9, sorry. Then looking next, I already mentioned Verstappen, not a great qualifying. The rest of the gang is, let's say, pretty much there where I would expect them to be. The only thing that I didn't expect was Behrman. Behrman was out in Q1, as we see. P18, he said that there were some energy deployment issues with his first lap, and then in the second lap, he didn't know. Oh no, he said that there was some software issue. As he understands, there's some software issue which did not allow him to deploy the full energy. Disappointing qualifying session for Behrman. I believe he expected to be at least in Q2, if not in Q3. As we see, Ocon was P12 in Q2. So in that sense, disappointing qualifying for Behrman. Another disappointing qualifying for Aston Martin. Although I believe they said that they will bring some updates and work on the car so that it's not vibrating so much and whatever in Japan. Unfortunately, whatever they did, it seemed that it didn't work. They are still out, and by quite a margin from Cadillac. And Cadillac is now, let's say, the second slowest team, and Aston Martin is the slowest team at the moment. So yeah, no big surprises there. It's a shame that Aston Martin's updates did not work. But now, on the bright side, there are 2 races which are cancelled. So basically, all April is free of racing, so the teams can spend time for development, and hopefully in May come back stronger. We'll see what the teams can do in this 1 month, but at the moment they are bad and they need to improve very quickly. Then I want to take a look again at some telemetry, and again using the same GP Tempo, great website where you can see the telemetry data. So this is from qualifying session. This is one of the Hamilton's laps, and I want to just again address and maybe explain the super clipping issue which we are having this year. So you can see here in the straight between turns 14 and 15, you see that the cars are accelerating. This is the acceleration or speed curve. We see it grows. Then it peaks out at 319 kilometers per hour. Good. But then looking here on the bottom, I will scroll down a little bit. This is the throttle application again. So you see throttle application. So they are full throttle. Basically, as you see, full throttle all the time here, all full throttle. They are not lifting, they are not coasting or anything. However, the speed is decreasing. Yes, there is the turn 15 a little bit. Okay, maybe that affects the speed, fine. But then still, the speed continues to drop, and until the braking zone, which is here, it drops to 265 kilometers per hour. So here we had 319, at the breaking point 265. So quite a huge dip in the speed. Still the throttle application is full. We can see the same picture here. Also in this, it's not a straight, but I guess here pilots are able, or drivers are able to go full throttle. However, we again see the same phenomenon that even though they peak out somewhere here, they still keep full throttle and the speed continues to drop. Of course, yes, when they applied brakes, then that's fine. The speed drops, of course, but still the speed even drops without with full throttle. Same here also in the start, finish, start straight, the same we see also. Still there is full application of throttle. Yes, they are going into the turn one, but they only start to brake or lift somewhere here between basically turns 1 and 2, but still there is quite a big drop in the speed between these locations. So there are multiple places along the track where they are not lifting and coasting, but still the speed is dropping, and this is the phenomena of super clipping, where the engine is revving up basically and still charging the battery and not deploying the full power to the wheels. So this was Hamilton, and we can take a look at some other driver. Well, let's take for example Piastri, which is Mercedes engine. Let's take a look at his lap. Let's select this one. And you see the comparison, Hamilton and Piastri. So in sector 1, Hamilton was very rapid, and he was always, or mostly, he set the purple sectors in purple times in sector 1, but then he dropped behind, and we can see the delta grows here. And then he manages, let's say, to come back somewhere in the hairpin in this turn 11, but then again, a Mercedes engine is superior. Especially here, Piastri can take a much greater speed than Hamilton, and then here in turn 13, this is where actually Hamilton loses the edge, and now Mercedes engine is better. Not Mercedes, McLaren, but with Mercedes engine. And yeah, then in throttle application, also Mercedes here is better, having a better straight line speed, 324 against 318. And then also the same super clipping happens also for McLaren, but still with all of that, they are faster. And so overall Piastri wins the lap because in my opinion, because of the straight line speed. And here also in this chicane a bit before, you see how Hamilton loses out and his deficit grows, then he gains a little bit, but basically almost 5/10, and which he loses 4/10 at the end, which he loses to Piastri. So here in this hairpin, he is also losing, and he is losing also here mainly on this big straight, because simply the Ferrari engine is not as good as Mercedes engine, and the same picture there. So just to show you the difference, let's take last year's pole position winner, Verstappen. So this time, of course, he had a bit bad qualifying, but let's take a look. It doesn't matter. This is his lap. You see these throttle application and these super clipping curves, they are still the same. Yes, throttle application here on the straight, and everything is like that. Now, if we go back, and this site is great because it allows us to compare, for example, with last year. So let's take a look, Japanese Grand Prix. Let's take also qualifying. Last year, Verstappen won the qualifying, so let's take his fastest lap, and let's compare these two. Okay, in order to understand it better, let's make last year's lap, let's make it whatever, purple, pinkish purple. So we can clearly see the difference. And this is the big thing here. You see, these year's engines and power units, they are quite faster in gaining speed. They are accelerating faster and getting a top speed. And the top speed is bigger than last year eventually, but then it starts to drop, and overall it drops, and we see that this again, the sort of a little bit of a gain here. However, later last year's lap, it just gains more, and you see clearly from last year this curve how it gains. Yes, then there is this 130 turn or turn 15 where they lose a little bit straight line or speed, and then they gain again. So they do not climb as much. They get to up to 300 kilometers or 303 or something like that last year. Compared this year, they get to up to 328. However, then they drop, and you see also the same here. This year they have this super clipping phase, and last year is just they are still accelerating until they are braking. Not the same picture. And here also in turn 1 you can see the same picture, accelerating, even in turn 1. Okay, a little bit losing speed, but not so much. But in this year they are losing already in the middle of the straight. So overall, this is the difference, and this is the phenomena what we have this year when we are comparing how the power distribution is happening in straights, and how this battery deployment is affecting the top speed, and the charging is affecting the top speed. So I think this is just, again, interesting to take a look and compare how it looks between different teams, and how it also looks compared to last year. So overall, that's it from my side at this stage. Tomorrow morning we have the race. Of course, I will follow that and later come back with a review. Meanwhile, thank you very much for listening and watching. See you tomorrow. Stay safe. Bye bye.